Okay, we're recording. Hello, I'm Tracy Dauterman, and I am here with Yessenia and with Bernadette. A lot of you may know Yessenia from her activism in the community, and you may or may not know Bernadette. Bernadette is the president of our teachers union, and I'd like to just welcome everybody who's watching, and I'll give Yessenia a little bit of time to say something about herself if she'd like to, and start asking Bernadette a few questions.
Yes, my name is Yessenia Echevarria. Thank you so much, Tracy, for this great welcome. And we're so excited to talk here with Bernadette, who has been so active in the community. Tracy and I wanted to do this video because we think it's important to create positive relationships with community members, as well as people who are actively organizing and participating in our children's education, which we know that Bernadette plays such a huge, important role. And so many times I think we see people busy in their elements or at meetings, but we don't really get to understand why it is that they're doing what they're doing and why their role in the community or in this position of leadership is important. So thank you, Bernadette, for taking this chat with us and to share space with us. Tell us a bit about where you just came from.
Oh, well, I basically just came back from Los Angeles. I was there this weekend as part of the California Teachers Association State Council. So we are, our union is affiliated with American Federation of Teachers and California Federation of Teachers, and also with National Educators Association and California Teachers Association. And 4 times a year, CTA has state council where we have delegates from every district in the state that come together to discuss policies, legislation, introduce business items, things that the union is going to be focusing during the year. And a lot of the great laws that we have that protect students and educators came from those conversations. They start as ideas and concepts, and then we have working groups, talk with those working groups, draft policy. Some of that policy becomes legislation, and if a legislator picks up that, thinks it's a good idea, then it becomes reality, like class sizes, safety for students, the mandates that the classes have a certain level of cleanness, things that we don't even think about, the ratios between teachers and students. We are now talking about how to get, credentialing requisites and all the demands that are put on teachers, and what are the demands that have to be put on teachers to make sure that they are the best teachers to teach our students. So I'm very honored to be there.
Awesome. And for those that may not be familiar with you, what is your role right now?
I am a speech language pathologist, and I am also the president of the Paso Robles Public Educators, our local union.
Awesome. So out of curiosity, what pushed you to gravitate towards the field of education?
Well, I used to work in a private practice in Brazil. I worked there for 10 years, and I worked with children that could not communicate. And one thing that I noticed is that when a child cannot communicate, that impacts their whole life. It's not just the life with the parents. It impacts their education, their ability to make friends, to have social relationships, the ability to interact in the community. And I feel very fortunate that here in the United States, the schools provide a space where every child with a disability has the chance to receive the services in the natural environment. Children spend most of their days at school. So I think it's only natural that we teach those skills that are necessary for success in the place where that child needs the skills the most, which is the school. I love working with kids. I feel like I have the best job in the world. I play with kids all day and I get paid for.
That's one of the reasons why I love being on campus so much. I get to spend a lot of time with the kids, and I get to know, they come up and say hello to me, and they give me hugs, and they're just so happy to be at school. And I love that so much. One of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you was because so at every school board meeting, for people who don't attend, Bernadette gives a couple-minute speech about things that are happening with Paso Robles Public Educators, and they're super inspirational. And I loved what she said at the last meeting, and it was all about how it's a great time to be part of a union. And when I heard her say that, I was like, oh, we need to talk to her and like find out a little bit more about what it means to be part of the union, and like who's part of the union, what does the union do? Because I think that there's just a lack of understanding about what the union is, what they do for the community, how they support teachers and students. And maybe if you could talk a little bit about that, that'd be really helpful.
Well, I'm so glad you asked that question. When we look at the history of unions, America was built in the backs, the hands, and brains of workers, people that do those jobs that are necessary for infrastructure, the construction workers, the auto workers, the people that work in hospitals, the teachers. Those are the people that day in and day out build America, and make America this great place where there's the great place that is. And unions were born because the people that are making this country, building the country from the ground up, many times didn't have the opportunity to benefit from the wealth and the good things they were creating. So we look what's happening right now. We have all these auto workers that are fighting because they built these beautiful cars that they cannot afford to buy. All these hospital workers that work so hard, double shifts, triple shifts, and they cannot take time off to take care of their own health because of work conditions. We look at the writers for Hollywood, we think, oh, it's a frivolous thing. Those movies and those shows that they write sell for millions of dollars, and they create profits for those companies, but they themselves have to live with roommates or with their parents because they cannot afford housing. And teachers, we see here the teachers, we work really hard to teach the students, and many of our teachers cannot even afford to buy a house, or they cannot afford, they cannot afford to send the students, their kids, to the universities they are preparing their students to go to. So when the unions were born, because those workers saw, those unfair conditions and decided to get together to try to create a better community for everybody. And if you look at our union, I was thinking about the interview, and I was looking around at the thousands of people there were I think there was about 1,000 people at least in LA. We are so different. We could not be more different from each other. We have every race, every color, every ethnicity, every gender affirmation, every religion, every political affiliation. And many times we don't agree, but we are all united in that belief that we can create a better place for our students and elevate the whole community by doing that. So
do you have any examples of things that the union has been successful at changing or negotiating with the school district that benefit students?
At the local level?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, things that you don't think about. We were able to lower class sizes for the special education students. We were able to get more supports in place for the special ed students. We were able to, we are just being mindful. The district is being very mindful and respecting our time to make sure that we can have a life-work balance. I can tell you, I just looked at the results of the state testing on Thursday, and I was very impressed to see that the scores, the majority of our students, our schools, the scores went up. In the past 2 years, we were able to negotiate cost of living adjustments for our teachers, and also negotiate increase in the percentage of the health benefits that the contribution on the health benefits that the district gives. And I think those two things, they don't seem to be related, But if you know you can afford to pay your bills and you know you can afford medical care, you can be a better teacher. You have, you feel more secure in your position. Well, we were able to negotiate, and that's how I started the speech. We were having a very hard time having enough speech therapists in the districts. We were paying contracted speech therapists that were very expensive, and we always have openings, and we always had holes, and the kids were not being served. So we got involved with the union, and we were able to negotiate a separate salary schedule for the speech pathologist. We got the approval of all our members, which was in itself was something amazing, that the teachers, they massively voted in support of something that did not benefit them directly, benefited, just this small group. There were only 8 of us at the time, and now there's 11 of us. So that's one more example, being the union, we look at the big picture. It doesn't benefit me directly, but it benefits somebody that that is going to benefit my students.
I think it's really interesting how negotiations occur. I'm actually in a class right now about negotiations. I'm doing a mock union negotiation tonight. Mm-hmm. And one of the more exciting parts of that class is that we're learning that negotiations are not just about wages. A lot of times negotiations are about so much more: work conditions, everything that you just talked about. It just seems like there's a little bit of a misconception or just a lack of understanding around what a union does. And nobody ever wants a negotiation to turn into a strike situation, because that is not good for anybody. But the best negotiations are the ones that expand the pie and allow everybody to, both sides can benefit.
Yeah, we really believe as a team, we're very fortunate that the district, that we work together with the district, that we believe, a lot of people think that a negotiation means you win some, you lose some. And we believe that we really want to have a win-win situation. Mm-hmm. Really want to get to a point where we both the district and the union feel that we are winning on something, that we can see the benefit of the things that we are getting.
And I think too, Bernadette and Tracy, that was such a great example of the teachers' pay raise, which I vividly remember Paso People's Action was there in the forefront. Mm-hmm. And it was great to see children out there, parents mm-hmm. out there together in support with their teachers, and seeing all the community support outpouring for our teachers. Because you bring up many great points, Bernadette, is that when we talk about education, we need to make sure our teachers who are in the boots on the ground, in the trenches, that teachers do feel supported and they are safe, and that they are being heard, that if there are concerns, that there's negotiation that happens. And it's hard to do that if you're not being taken care of. And so I think that's part of the reason why unions are so important. It gives that leverage of that space to make sure that there are representatives and there's people like you who are taking their time to go ahead and take those issues to the district and negotiate, and to making sure that a strike is really the last resort, and there's other means to accomplish things without putting a halt to here specifically education. So in recent times, Bernadette, we have seen criticism on unions, criticism on the teachers union. What do you think are the misconceptions that are causing this type of negative thoughts or criticism towards teachers unions specifically?
I think a lot of there has been a lot of misinformation that has been spread, and that really it really makes me sad that there is so much misinformation spread out. And that will be very easy to fix if the people that has this preconceived ideas about teachers, if they just came and talked to us. Tracy, our schools are open. We welcome, we love to have people coming to visit. We love to have parents coming to visit. And a conversation, a visit, a series of visits, there should be sufficient to really get to see what we are doing, and really understand that people tend to see the union like this foreign alien body, this thing that lives in the darkness. The union is people that live in this community, work in this community. Our kids go to school. My daughter grew up here, was raised in the schools. We bump into each other, in the park and grocery stores, Trader Joe's. We are part of this community. And how can it's strange to me. How can we sit together at church on Sunday, and then on Tuesday, the same people that were sitting together on Sunday, on Tuesday, they come to school and make those wild accusations against teachers? It's very difficult for me to understand. I know that there is a lot of misinformation going on, but I would really love to have an opportunity to have a conversation and get to know the people and clarify those misconceptions.
And that's the goal of this video, Bernadette, is that to give an opportunity to at least give that introduction. If people are curious, if people misunderstand certain things, I think that's why it's important to carve out time to reach out, even if it is an email, or stay a little bit longer after you pick up your kids, or when you're, finding those avenues of opportunity, whether it's supporting a teacher's event, whatever it may be. So thank you for at least starting that conversation tonight.
Yeah, I've done that several times. When I drop my kids off, I always make sure to say hi to any teachers that I see on campus. When I pick my kids up, my kids often run back into their classrooms to speak to their teachers a little bit more, or to show me some piece of art that they have on the wall. It's really cool. I also want to put a little plug out there for school site councils, because those are the places where you actually throughout the school year can learn what's going on, as far as like we review iReady testing several times throughout the year. We also review safety plans. It's a really good place to get to know your principal and a couple of, there's usually a few teachers on that committee as well. And I've learned so much from being there and just been exposed to a lot more information that I didn't know about before.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to point out, I think part of the reason why there is so much criticism against our union is a reflection of the times we are living. We are living in a time where there is so much disconnection. Those are, look at what's happening in the world, all those wars, what's happening in Israel. That's an extreme case of how people not being able to understand each other has really led to a loss of life and can lead to a global war. There is so much mistrust going around, so many challenges, and people sometimes get threatened by when they see things that they don't understand or things they don't agree. Sometimes people feel threatened and they don't want to ask the questions. They prefer to make an assumption and act towards that assumption. I think people need to understand that my cat is trying to get into the conversation, sorry. I think people need to understand that as teachers, we have the moral obligation, the ethical obligation, and the professional obligation to accept and embrace every student that comes into our classrooms, no matter where they come from, who they are, or what they do. And we have our duty is to educate every student, regardless of anything else. And I think people have different opinions about the role of immigrants in the United States, whether or not we should provide free education to immigrant children. People have different opinions about whether or not we should educate children that have gender identity issues. People have different opinions about how we should educate the homeless or the social economically disadvantaged. And people can have opinions and feelings. Those are okay. But we have a duty, like the military. If the military had to go to war, they will protect everybody. They can't say, oh, I'm going to protect these 3 girls, but I'm not going to protect those other 3 because, they are different. So when we public servants, our duty is to serve everybody. And that can create a situation where people feel challenged and don't understand, and they will like their own opinions to prevail, but we can't let that happen.
And I will say this too, Bernadette, is what I'm hearing you say too, is when we're faced with challenges, it also is an opportunity for us to grow, right?
Exactly,
And
exactly.
also an opportunity for us to take somebody else's thoughts or lived experience and kind of say, well, I didn't think of it that way, or I didn't realize that this was going on. But also, I think before we attack our teachers, for example, or have loud criticism, especially because we know it is a hard time for teachers right now. Teachers are leaving the profession, and I think we can all agree that it's a hard profession. I've never met a teacher that went into education with the desire of wanting to be a millionaire or a billionaire. And I don't think, right? So there has to be a calling for all individuals that decide that they want to be in the heart of children's lives with education. So I think before, especially because we're such a small community, before the criticism goes out there, reach out to the teachers union, reach out to those teachers, get some clarification, understand what is happening. And then still, if you're feeling passionate, okay, but at least you made that initial contact to at least try to understand. So I appreciate that, Bernadette.
No, I love what you just said. I love what you just said. I think a lot of the problems in our community will be resolved if we could just listen to each other with open hearts, you know, and really listen to understand where other people are coming from.
I totally agree. It's so easy for us to make judgments based on silly things like political affiliations, but it's really important for us to reach out to people who are different from us too, and understand where they're coming from and why they believe certain things, and to understand what their values are and what's important to them. Because there's a lot of things that we probably all agree on, regardless of where we grew up, who we voted for president, and there's just so much for us to unite on. And I feel like educating our kids is really something that everybody should agree on.
Yeah. And that's, that is one thing that can unite the country and make the country better. And you mentioned political affiliation. I don't think people realize that. People tend to think that the union only endorses democratic liberal candidates. So, and I almost took a picture at this weekend at the state council. We do have a Republican caucus and we have a Democratic caucus, and their tables are together and they are good friends. And the president of the Republican caucus made a point to remind us that historically CTA has endorsed candidates from all parties, has endorsed Republican candidates, because at the end of the day, what we are endorsing is not a party, is the position on the issues, how committed the candidate is to support and elevate education, how committed the candidate is in really supporting and elevating the children in the community, and how connected this candidate is to the communities they are going to be serving. And that goes beyond being in a political party. So some of the money that goes for political action goes to Republican candidates that have shown that they are firm believers and supporters of public education.
Do you have any thoughts about public education versus some of the other forms of education, like private or charter?
I think there should be choice. I might get slapped for that, but I think the more choices, the better. I think that is, we have actually charter representation in our union. We do have charters.
How does that work? Because don't charters not have a union?
Not all charters are unionized, but we have like California Virtual Academy is unionized. They have about 800 educators statewide. And the union is open to charter, to teachers that work for charter schools.
I didn't know that.
Also, at the national level, we have a representation of the Department of Defense schools. They are also a public school system, and those teachers are represented at our national conventions. I think, there is a place, parents have to have, they have to take the kids where they want to take them.
Mhm.
So public education is wonderful. Public education is accessible to all kids, accepting of all kids, and provides a lot of services that others don't provide. We provide a lot of special education services that are not available in private or charter schools. So that's that. But if a parent wants to take a child to a private school, they should take the child to a private school. They should be able to take a child to a charter school. In some places, some charter schools were born because the public schools were not able to provide things that the parents wanted in certain areas. And some charter schools are very successful. I don't like the idea that people will be taking away money from public education to, charters are actually publicly funded, believe it or not. Most charters are publicly funded. So that is money from our taxes. But I don't really like the idea of vouchers for private schools, because I believe that the public education supports the whole community and can be a very important tool in fighting, in elevating the whole society.
Mhm.
But if a parent wants to take a child to a private school, I think it's their choice. Homeschooling, that we have to provide choices for parents. Families have the right to choose how they want their children to be educated.
Are there any specific concerns locally that the teachers union is focusing on?
Well, we are, I think some things that concern me personally, as a union president, is that I think that some of the issues that have been discussed in board meetings, they detract from education. I think it's getting better. I think we are becoming our board is becoming more focused on education issues. But for a while, we were discussing things that didn't really pertain to education. The issues with the flags. We all want to have an American flag, but spending hours talking about the size of a flag, I think we have some more crucial issues to discuss. And I know I'm probably going to get in trouble with that, but so be it. Also, I think, we need to focus, to laser focus on why we want our children to be educated. What are the goals of our education? We need to focus on how we are going to accomplish their goals. We have many challenges. We have, huge diversity. We have, most of our schools have over 55% of the students that are what we call unduplicated, that they are English language learners, live below the poverty level, or have special education issues, are homeless. So we have to address the needs of those students. We have parents that work 2 or 3 jobs, parents that don't speak the language, parents that feel disenfranchised to participate in their children's educations. I think we need to build capacity. We need to reach out to those parents and empower them to take a more active role in their children's education. We need to find out from the parents, what is it that they want, what they need, what assets they bring to the table. And I think these are the issues that we really need to focus. And some of those other things, they are not going to be, at the end of the day, long term, they are not going to be important.
Totally agree with that. I've started attending board meetings, and I am so frustrated when they start talking about things that I don't feel are impactful for student education. it's just a distraction from what they should be focused on. And I hope that that changes. I know we've seen a little bit of progress with that, but I hope that we see more. On that note, I was wondering, since we're going to be recruiting a new superintendent soon, what is the union looking for? What's important to teachers and educators in a superintendent?
Well, I think, somebody that will recognize the needs of our district, the needs of our students and our community, and also recognize the assets that our community brings. I know a lot of people have issues with our immigrants. And in my mind, I figure, okay, if you had the courage to leave your country and your family behind and come to a country where you are not valued and you are not respected because you want your child to live this American dream that we are living, I think that's a huge asset. I think we need to have, our leader needs to recognize the assets, the strengths of our community, and really capitalize on those assets. I want somebody that is a good communicator, somebody that can bring the community together, somebody that is an experienced educator, and just trust that candidate will show up, hopefully.
Those are all great things I think we can all get on board on, especially because that's going to be a big topic, Tracy, trying to get a new superintendent. Who's going to be that person? That's going to be the leader, the captain of our ship, who's going to set the sail and motivate. And we know education has a lot of challenges, but there's a need for creative solutions. I think there's an opportunity here for us to unite our community, going beyond what Bernadette was saying, not just within the four walls of a elementary school or a high school, but really all of our community, because I think that's one of the biggest things that makes me excited about our community beyond the education is we have a really special town here in Paso Robles. And I think, we're all proud to be Bearcats, and hopefully we are welcoming of new Bearcats, and we all, at the end of the day, want our kids to be the best. I think you touched on that, Bernadette, too. As a daughter of immigrant parents, I always knew that education was going to be our way out. The goal at the end of the day was to have that education so we can be proud of. But one step further, regardless if you are an immigrant or not an immigrant, I think that is the common ground we can all come together. Tracy, I see you spend time at the PTA and be involved in your child's education. I know you care equally as much as my parents care for my education, regardless if you're speaking Mandarin, sign language, English, or Spanish, or Mixteco. We want our children to be safe. We want our children to be in healthy conditions at school sites. We want our teachers to feel supported. So all important things to keep in the forefront when we're talking about our teachers, especially supporting the teachers union. So with that being said, Bernadette, I want to hear from you. Why is it important, not just for parents, but community members and businesses to support the teachers union?
Well, I guess because from what I said in the beginning, this nation was built by people that work really, really hard. And in the community, we have other categories of workers beside teachers that work really, 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 really hard. And I think when I don't see it as the community supporting us. I think it's we support each other. We are part of this community. I don't see it like, they have to support us and we have to support them. We support one another because we are all part of the same community. We have about 400 teachers, and those teachers, again, they don't exist in a vacuum. So they are married to soldiers, merchants, lawyers, accountants, winery workers, restaurateurs, drivers, firemen, hospital workers. So we are all interconnected as a community, and we have to support each other. Rather than the community support the union, I think if the community supports the concept of public education and values and shows the value of public education, we are trying to implement a community school. that's a great example of how the community and the schools come together as a team to elevate the whole community. So that's what I want to see more of. It's us interacting and communicating and elevating each other.
What are some ways that you think that community members could get involved if they had a little bit of extra time to do that?
Come to our schools and visit us. Volunteer. Come to, buy the barbecue at the high school. Come to the football games. Come to the sports events. Come to the open houses. Come to the plays. We have an amazing theater teacher, and she puts out incredible productions, like really professional productions.
It's fantastic. The plays at the high school are amazing. It's unbelievable how good they are for such a small town. Like I was blown away. I went a couple times last year, and I highly recommend.
I know. So I think that's the best way to support the union, is to support the students that are being taught, to support the events in our schools, become a part, we have a lot of community members come and read to our students once a week. And how can you not fall in love with those kids after you start reading to them, and they are all so adorable. So just engage with our schools, become a friend of our schools.
I think there's a lot of ways. We have a garden at the school that my kids attend, and we have a volunteer who's been helping out with that. I know that some of the schools have done the Read to a Child program as well. And then the plays are so good. And the elementary plays, while they are not anywhere close to the same quality as the high school, are adorable.
They are super cute. They are really super cute. So come visit us, come get to know us, come to the board meetings, listen. If you don't want to come to the board meetings, we are on YouTube. Listen to the board meetings on YouTube, and and make your own decision. Listen to what's happening and form your own opinion. And talk to us when you see us at the grocery store. Just this is such a friendly, wonderful community. Just do more of it. Yeah.
So I'm hearing, if I see a teacher at the store, then I should say hi.
Absolutely.
Being mindful of their time, because they are off the clock and they're shopping their groceries. But if someone did want to reach out to the teachers union, how does one do that? What is the email? Is there a phone number? How does one do that?
We don't have a phone number. We don't have an email, and we are working on a website, but we are on Facebook, Paso Robles Public Educators. I actually had it open, right, I had just had it open. So we have a page. I don't know if you guys can see it. Oops.
Not really.
Paso Robles Public Educators.
I can link to it when I post the video.
Yeah. And we are going to be pushing a website. We're building a website with one of our union partners. And we are going to be pushing the website. It's probably going to be Paso Robles Public Educators or something like that. And we don't have a phone number. If you have a kid in school, you can send an email to your teacher, and I'm at every board meeting. So, and most board meetings, I have to say. And so come say hi to me. And we started in September. I'm only going to be talking every other meeting, because the union is more than just me. So Heidi Cooper, our TK5 vice president, did a beautiful presentation at 2 board meetings ago, and talked about how every child is somebody's baby. Every child that comes to our school is somebody's baby, and asking everybody to please remember that. And on Tuesday, Alicia Whitman, our 6 to 12 vice president, is going to take the union time to talk. So we're going to have more faces of the union showing up. We are planning to engage the board members. We don't know exactly, but we want to invite the board members to come to our union meetings. And we might be, in the future, we might be hosting some events for the community. So just stay tuned.
That would be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. We know that you were driving and to make this interview happen. Any last last remarks, Bernadette? Anything else that you want to highlight or touch on before we close this interview up?
I just want to thank you so much for this opportunity. I highly respect you, Yessenia, and you, Tracy. I've known Yessenia for years, and I've known Tracy more recently, and I'm really impressed by all that you do. And I just, our mantra is that our working conditions are the students' learning conditions. If we cannot work, we cannot teach.
That's such a powerful statement. The first time I heard you say that, I was just like, oh, that's exactly it. Like, yes.
And all we want to do is teach, because we can't, we don't want to do anything else. I'm telling you, best fun job in the world.
So the biggest takeaway is make sure you reach out to your teachers union. I know we have other community members listening to this that are not part of the Paso Robles School District or maybe the Paso Robles community, but if you are part of Templeton, AG, or Cambria, Morro Bay, we encourage you to do the same. Reach out to your local teachers union, get participating in what's happening in your community. Don't wait to show appreciation to that staff member, to that teacher. We're seeing way too many amazing teachers leave the profession. I know it's hard, but I know that we can celebrate and uplift one another. So thank you so much, Bernadette and Tracy, for taking the time to do this. And we'll do more videos. Tracy and I are on this kick of doing these videos. Send us your ideas. What is next? Who would you like to hear from? What are the topics that you want to learn from? And thank you so much. Anything else, Tracy, before we close it up?
Yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for paying attention, and show up to a board meeting. They're way more interesting than you think they are. I used to think they were boring, and now I'm like sort of hooked. If I'm not there in person, I'm watching it at home.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.